Welcome to Prague for the ICF Canoe Slalom World Cup final. The 5-race series has taken us to Great Britain, Slovakia, Slovenia, Germany and now the Czech Republic for the double points final round. 244 athletes from 36 countries started this competition across the 4 events. And so far we've had a different winner across all the races in the World Cup series in all categories, so huge competition for those top points. Well, we're on the Vltava River that flows through the historic centre of Prague, and this course, a natural course using the gradient of the Vltava River, drops 3.6 metres across its 300 metres in length. 25 gates set on the course, 6 red and white upstream gates and the rest downstream gates set by our course designers Mark Delaney and Marianne Aguillon. And well, the course, well, very tight and technical. That is a characteristic of this great Prague course. So the sun is shining here this morning, a little bit autumnal, a nip in the air, but the athletes eager to race because it's semi-finals time, and we start with the women's canoe semi-finals, and then we will follow on with the men's kayak semi-finals this morning. Myself, Andy Maddock, in the commentary box, and I'm privileged to welcome into the commentary box Victoria Wolfhard of Austria, the 2018 European champion and well, a medalist in the World Cup series this year and a 4th place. So welcome to the box here, Victoria.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here, and I can't wait to see the girls race.
Well, 30 boats in the heats qualified through from those heats, and they race in reverse order of those performances in the heats. And well, last off will be Nadine Verachnik of Austria, who was the fastest in the heats, but also some big names to watch: Kimberly Woods, Jessica Fox, Mallory Franklin, and of course the young Avi Liebfarth of the United States, who's made such an impact this season. So the 25 gate course here on this Prague course, we've seen a lot of characteristics in the racing yesterday. 8 gates in a row downstream that are offset, and that's presented a real challenge to some of these athletes. But first up, it's Alexandra Stach of Poland, who was 6th at the 2019 European Championships earlier on this season in Pau in France. She was 7th at the under-23 World, so very capable of making it into the final here, and that's the job. 30 boats racing for 10 spots in the final.
Yeah, I mean, Ola can go really fast. I think she was also in the final at the European Champs, and she did a really good job there. And yeah, she started also doing K1 a little bit more and racing some World Cups. And it's nice to see that also C1 girls are doubling up and going to K1 and not the other way around. And yeah, she's also the C2 mix world champion from last year. So she's doing a wide range of disciplines, and she's yeah, still very young. So yeah, I can't wait which direction she goes in the future.
Well, at the moment, 2 touches though showing on the screen so far. Touch on gate 2, touch on the upstream gate 13, and well, we saw from the semi-finals and finals yesterday in the men's C1 and the women's K1 that penalties can be really critical in terms of well, keeping people out of the final.
Yeah, the course in Prague is always very tricky, and the course setting is like the gates come so fast at you, and you have to be very responsive, and I think this is the main the hardest part of this course.
Down the bottom part of the course here into the final upstream gates, the physical demands of this course, particularly that sprint finish. How does that feel to you as an athlete?
Oh, it's so hard. It's a very long course, and both in K1 and C1 I really felt it, to push out of the last upstream, and then you still have this super long finish sprint in front of you, and you feel like you don't really go, and yeah, you're very happy when you see the time already and the finish. It's hard.
Well, into the Finish there, 1:30.16 for Alexandra Stach of Poland. That includes 4 seconds in penalties, and we're straight into our next boat, who is Novak of Slovenia. The Slovenians really emerging strongly in the women's C1 category.
Yeah, it's very nice to see, and she's still very young, and she's one of the girls who is not switching, so she's a righty, and I also in training I don't really see her switching, just very rarely, and yeah, for me this is always very impressive. It's good how the girls are really well on the crossbow already. It's very nice to see.
And well, the women's C1 paddlers, people like yourself, have almost been setting the standard for the men's C1, in the sense that they never switched before, but they've watched you all paddling, and there's a lot more of the men's C1 now starting to copy your techniques.
Yeah, I remember at the beginning everyone's like, oh my god, the girls are switching, that's so bad, and now more and more boys are doing it as well, and yeah, it's very nice to see how also the boys can learn something from the girls, and it's very nice how some boys are open to this as well, and I think in some parts it really makes sense to do it.
Well, Novak of Slovenia, apologies, has got 3 touches, so a little bit of a disadvantage going into the upstream, and it looks like another one on 23, 4 touches showing, and that's going to be very difficult to qualify from that position. Outside of the time of Alexandra Stach of Poland, and coming into the finish line now, 1:36.59. That includes those 4 touches, 8 seconds in penalties, and well, we'll have to wait and see where that finishes in the final reckoning. But here's a name that's been emerging over the course of the last 12 months or so. Eva-Alina Hodjeva of Slovenia is on course. That distinctive yellow helmet is a bit of her hallmark, and coming down the course, she's paddling really strongly in kayak and in canoe.
Yeah, I think she has some junior medals from both categories already, so she's doing a good job here. This offset is very hard, I think, for C1, and despite the 2 touches, it was very fluent. And yeah, this looks like a good run.
Well, she's still a junior. She's a 2-time Junior World Championship finalist, and well, she's made the 3 Senior World Cup finals, so certainly starting to make her mark, and you can see she's really confident on the white water.
Yeah, and she's pushing very hard also in K1, like she's paddling and never waiting for the gate, and really keep pushing through, and that's very nice to see.
Well, look at that advantage, 4.16 up now, so she does have penalties.
No.
A little bit of a mistake there, too much edge on the run into the upstream 21, and the advantage wiped out there just in that one move.
That's so hard. This is not what you want to do in the semi-final, and it's hard to come back after such a mistake. But yeah, maybe I think it's still enough. It will be still enough for the first place, maybe.
I think it may well get close to that. 1:30.16 is the current race lead time. Eva-Alina Hodjeva of Slovenia now coming towards the finish. It's going to be outside of that. And that mistake running into gate 21, proving costly for Eva-Alina. But it is still Alexandra Stach of Poland leading the way. And now it is Italy's turn. Elena Burgi on course.
Yeah, it's crazy how many good young C1 paddlers Italy has now. I think there are 4 or 5 girls, I saw them training together, and they really keep pushing themselves, and I think they really learn from each other a lot, and I'm a very big fan of Elena. She's pushing also very hard, and having a nice style, and yeah.
Well, she's got the early advantage on the top part of the course, but late, and having to go back round for that gate 12. And unfortunately, that's the demands of this course. It's back from side to side to side, and if you get late on those offset sequences, then it really punishes you.
Yeah, when you're late on one gate, and in the end, it's just not enough. From the beginning on of this offset combination, you have to be on point. Otherwise, it will be bad in the end.
And of course, the women's C1 makes its debut in the Tokyo Olympic Games next year. How important do you think that is to a lot of the motivation of these young athletes?
Oh, I think it's a huge motivation. I think everyone is looking forward to it, and it took a long time to be in the Olympics. And yeah, I think with this discipline being in the Olympics, also the funding raised for the girls, and yeah, I think that's why it's like very evolving, the sport now and this discipline, and you see the level is rising and rising, and they get closer together, and I think it's very good to see and very good for the sport.
And of course we'll be sharpening up in the next 3 weeks, because we'll have the first round of that Olympic qualification where the nations qualify their spots, and into 1:39.90 the time there for Elena, and that is into 4th place at the moment. First of the German paddlers in this semi-final, 29-year-old Lena Stöcklin is on course, and well, Lena's been around for quite a while, and getting into the German team increasingly hard in the women's C1 category.
Yeah, Germany is such a strong country in every discipline, and I think she was very disappointed after the national selections not managing it. Same mistake like Elena. Yeah, it seems to be a very, very tricky part of the course for the C1 girls.
Oh no, well, there's quick thinking from Lena Stöcklin there. So she misses gate 12, but she goes round, she uses the ramp on the obstacle to go back round, but the time is ticking away, so she has removed any 50-second penalty on gate 12, but we'll see on the split that will cost her a significant amount of time. Now coming through 17. 16-17 sequence, so important, and you can see that mistake. Well, I suppose it's used up extra energy, but it's also affected her concentration.
Yeah, it's very hard to come back after a mistake like this, to keep yourself motivated to push harder, because she probably knows it's not enough for the final, but she's not giving up, and that's good to see.
So penalties clocking up a little bit as well for Lena Stöcklin of Germany in this. It's the World Cup semi-final here in the women's C1 in Prague, and this is the final race. Double points up for grabs, and well, in the World Cup standings at the moment, it is Jessica Fox of Australia leading the way after 4 races, ahead of Ana Satila of Brazil. And then, in fact, Victoria, you are lying in 3rd place at the moment in those standings after 4 races. So Lena Stöcklin into 4th place in this, the early stages of this women's C1 semi-final, and the first of the French paddlers, and extra significance for the French because this is part of their Olympic team selection process.
Yeah, I think she was surprising everyone in Bratislava with her win there. She's paddling so well for the last years, and she could never just bring it down in the final somehow, and it's very nice to watch her, and she has a very, very nice style.
Well, this is a good run coming together, isn't it? So she's kept it clean on the top 13 gates of the course. Claire Jacquet of France really looking like she's found the groove, found the rhythm, and is attacking the course, but most importantly keeping it clean so far.
Yeah, this is a very, very impressive run. I think it's very hard to stay clean. And this looks very, very nice.
Look at that, 9.5 seconds up on our race lead time, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of time it will take to actually win this semi-final. Claire just held a little bit on 21, and the slightest of touches awarded on the exit of the gate there. But that is the only real blemish to what has been a very good run here as she comes in tight into the upstream 24. Good,
no.
Almost too tight.
Oh no.
So another penalty there for Claire Jacquet, and the rhythm has gone at the bottom of the course. She will go into the race lead, I'm sure, but it's so easy to lose that speed, and as I speak, she only just into the race lead there. 1:30.12 Claire Jacquet, the bottom section stung back after such a superb top part of the course.
Yeah, it's just not over till it's over. It's, till the last gate you have to be very, very focused. So many things can always happen.
Well, next up it's Zofia Sabitova of the Russian Federation. The Russian Federation had a great day yesterday, taking silver medal in the men's C1 event with Kirill Setkin. So can they follow that up? Well, early problems on the course, a loop back round and a 2-second penalty on 7 and another one on 9.
Yeah, but otherwise she has a very, very nice and style, very smooth, and every stroke has its power. There are no strokes which are in the air, and every stroke brings her forward, so it's very nice to see this. Oh, but too many touches.
It is, the touches mounting up there. Look at that, 1, 2, 3, 6 touches at the moment, and unfortunately, yes. How difficult is it when you have one of those runs that it's just not happening for you? How difficult is it to refocus and get back into it at the bottom part of the course?
Very hard, and most of the times it also doesn't work. When it starts already so bad, and then you know you have to try even harder now, otherwise it won't be a good result. And then most of the time even more things happen, and yeah, these are one of these runs where you just want to press the reset button and start from the start again. Yeah, but unfortunately this is not how it works.
No, indeed. Well, Zofia Sabitova of the Russian Federation, all sorts of problems. 9 touches, unfortunately. That's 18 seconds in penalties added on to her time. And, well, that is not going to get her close to the top 10, unfortunately. That's the job, to get through into the final. So 7 boats now down this course. It is still Claire Jacquet of France leading the way ahead of Alexandra Stack of Poland, Eva Alina Hodcheva of Slovenia. As next up, it's Victoria Us of the Ukraine, who is, well, really having a great season, and yesterday made it through into the women's kayak final.
Yeah, she's an amazing paddler and surprising everyone, I think. I remember I was once on the under-23 Worlds. We had the same time, and we were together on the podium. It was very, very nice, and she is such a humble person, and yeah, it's very nice to see when she does well.
Well, she's had a few problems at the top, but she looks like she's refocused herself well. She's running the boat nicely as she comes down through 15 into the upstream 16. So easy to take a touch on the pole on 16 with the bows of the boat, but no problems there for Victoria.
Yeah. Oof, close.
So Victoria, do you think people will, our athletes will be paddling slightly differently in the semi-final to the final in terms of risk-taking, given how many penalties there are?
I think the girls always try to push harder in the final once they made it there, because then it's only the medal counts in the end. So I think there will be always more risk in the final. But yeah, I think in the semi-final it's more about keeping the line, keeping a clean run, and keep the boat running through the gates. I think this is the main goal now.
Well, let's watch Victoria Us as she digs deep for the final sprint here. And the time, as you were saying, Victoria, the time slips away on the bottom section. It is a long sprint and into 3rd place for Victoria Us. So at the moment, less than a second separates the top 3. Claire Jacquet of France still leading the way as the first of 3 British boats are on course. Sophie Ogilvie of Great Britain, who was 9th at the 2019 European Championships, and she has made it through 2 World Cup finals out of the 2 World Cups she has done. Can she make it 3 out of 3? Well, it's got to happen on this run.
Yeah, you have to be a very good C1 paddler to make it to the British team, and she's still so young and she made it, and that's impressive itself already, and she's really showing she can be one of the fastest in the world, making these 2 finals, and yeah, I wonder if she can show it again.
Well, she's certainly got the pace, but at the moment it looks like penalties just mounting up. She needs to settle the boat, stay focused as she comes down on the second half of this 25 gate course. And it is a real characteristic of this Prague course, isn't it, that the gates, the technical demands of the white water is less, so you have to make the course difficult with the gates, and our course designers have certainly done that.
They did a great job in doing this, yes. But I think the course itself is very, very nice. Tricky for sure and difficult for sure, but a challenge for everyone. But still, I think it's very fair, and the gates are on the places where the water is quite stable and not moving too much and changing too much. So yeah, this is how it should be, I guess.
Well, here comes Sophie Ogilvie into the final upstream gate, and now sprinting to the finish. And I noticed she made contact with that concrete block again in the run-in from 22 to 23. She did that in the heats on both runs, so she's obviously got a magnet to that rock. But into 5th place for Sophie Ogilvie, and it is those 6 seconds in penalties that proved costly for her. Still, Claire Jacquet leading for France, the winner of the World Cup 2 in Bratislava this season. She was 7th in Lee Valley and holding the race lead in the early stages of this women's C1 semi-final here live from Prague. So on course now, it is Lucie Priou of France.
Wow, this was very, very impressive. I think this was the first girl who did all the gates direct and clean. Wow, wow, wow. Very, very nice.
Yeah, she did. It does really look like she's found her rhythm, working well, staying ahead of the game, fighting a little bit into 13, but you're right, a superb top section. Should be pleased with that.
Yeah, this was very, very impressive. To do this in a semi-final run.
But there's no rest, is there? Because this course is relentless. You can't let up. You can't reduce your focus, because that's when the course will bite back.
Yeah, we saw Claire. It's not over till the last gate, and yeah, it doesn't matter what happened on the top. You have to stay focused till the end, till the very end.
And she's now down on our race leader, Claire Jacquet, but we do know that Claire lost time, as you say, Victoria. So if Lucie can pull something solid out of the bottom section, then she stands a good chance of getting into the race lead. And that's quite significant, because the French team are using this event as part of their Olympic team selection process, but she's low into the last upstream. I think this is going to be tight, though. I think it is going to be challenging around the 130, 131. It just depends which side of the tents it's going to be. It's going to be close, and into the race lead for Lucie Priou of France. 129.33. That includes 6 seconds in penalties, and well, no one has managed to go clean yet in this semi-final, as we are 10 boats in, 20 boats to go. They are the fastest 20 boats from the heats. And next on course, it is Klaudia Zwolinska of Poland.
She's a very, very good peddler, and she started C1 just last year, or maybe 2 years ago, and I think this is her first semi-final and in the World Cup. She started, I think London was her first World Cup in C1, so it's very, very impressive what she did in so short time in C1. And yeah, I hope she's doing well.
Well, she looks like she's really got the flow of the boat, but the penalties are mounting up, aren't they? And once again, the athletes, well, I think the penalties may well determine their top 10. There might be some top boats that get the wrong side of the 10th place if they pick up too many penalties.
Oh yeah. So she's such a good K1 paddler. I think she knows how to use stoppers. She knows how to keep the boat running, and I think she really puts this on the C1. That's why she is so successful in such a short time.
Well, that's right. She's still 10.9 down now. So, but she's not totally out of it. But she is now. If that 50-second penalty on 19, and unfortunately for Claudia, then that is game over in this brutal sport of canoe slalom. You can go from hero to zero very quickly.
Oh yes, you can. Yeah, but I think she's still in a process, and she's happy with every run she can do in C1, and I think we will see a lot more of her in the future.
Well, a name to watch there. So yeah, Klaudia Zwolinska of Poland now paddling out the run. It's not going to be a final, but it's still part of that learning process, as you say, Victoria. And into 11th place, still Lucie Priot leading for France ahead of Claire Jacquet and Alexander Stach of Poland. So next up, the first of 3 Australians, Rosalind Lawrence of Australia. And well, she's a real pioneer of this women's C1, part of a group of people that really embraced it. I think, am I right? I think it's around about 10 years since the women's C1 first came onto the World Cup and World Championship program.
Yeah, I think I remember 2009 in Seoul was the first time the C1 girls were paddling World Championships. It was still not an official event, but yeah, there was still a good competition to watch. And since then, so much happened. The girls improved. It's crazy.
Well, into the upstream 16, and Rosalind Lawrence, well, she is still clean, and that is significant. So she's a 2-time overall World Cup winner. And well, under 23 world champion back in 2012. She almost took a couple of years out, and then has really come back in the last couple of years, as well, I suppose, as you would do as it heads towards its Olympic debut. And whilst there'll be tough competition to get into that Olympic team, then you've got to try, haven't you?
Yeah, you have to try your best. Doesn't matter which competitors you have in your own team, and for sure it's hard having Jess there, but you never know, and you have to try your best to show your best. And she's doing a good job, and she will be the first one clean, I think. And she knows how to do clean runs. I think she has many clean runs, and it looks good.
Well, using her experience,
yeah.
Absolutely. Into the race lead for
Good
Rosalind
job.
Lawrence of Australia. 1:26.90. Yes, the first clean run. And now Sona Stanovska of Slovakia coming down this course. So Victoria, when you're watching something like a semi-final, if you've qualified well and you're going off quite late on, how much will you watch the early boats to just get a little bit of a flavour of the course?
I like to watch them. There's always something you can learn from the girls before, and especially in C1 there are so many options, especially when you switch, so to see where the girls are switching, which gate you could do direct, which reverse, it's good to see. And yeah, I like to watch them.
Well, Sona has picked up 2 touches so far on the course. She was 10th at the World Championships in Rio de Janeiro last year, and she took a silver medal in the 2017 Junior World Championships. So she's very much a contender for a place in the final here in Prague, but it is about delivering on this single run semi-final. The athletes have had lots of chance to look at the course, but they've not had the chance to paddle on this set of gate sequences in this category.
Yeah, I think she's still a very young athlete, and looking at her past results, she has very good results. Also in K1, so I think medaling in both categories at junior competitions. So yeah, I think she will keep doing also both disciplines in the future. And
well, it's a good run coming together for Sona Stanovska of Slovakia, now exiting the upstream gate 24, and this may well challenge the current race leader. Certainly it's, I'm sure, going to go into second place. 1:26.90 is the race lead. It's outside of that, but into second place for Sona Stanovska of Slovakia. And well, we're starting to get towards the halfway point in this 30-boat women's C1 semi-final. And next up, the second Australian on course, Naomi Fox, who is well, very strong competitor. And she has won an under-23 World Championship bronze medal in this event and 6 World Cup finals to her name.
I love watching Naomi paddle. I think she has a very nice style. It's very nice to watch, and I think she's doing a good job, and it's very good to see.
Well, she's up on the split at the moment, a little bit sticky on the spin, but she settles it back down now. And another paddler that paddles kayak and canoe. Now, Victoria, you do the same. How much of a benefit is it, the fact that you would have paddled this course in kayak before you come into your first run down in the canoe?
Well, not sure. I think, of course, it's an advantage having the lines, but then on the other hand, it's still such a different technique in both disciplines, and maybe the advantage is more that you have two chances to show what you can do. Yeah, it's also hard. You know, you have to keep focused the whole weekend, while others have maybe a rest day. You have to stay in the racing mode, and yeah, it's both advantage and disadvantage, I think.
Oh, that's a really good perspective, I would agree there. And 5.5 seconds nearly. Naomi Fox is up on the split, but she's dropping a bit of time at the bottom section. But Australians at the moment leading the race with Rosalind Lawrence. And now Naomi Fox is surely going to challenge that race lead time as she comes through the last gate. Another clean run is going to come together. 2 Australian clean runs, and inside 1:23.37, Naomi Fox of Australia goes clean and into the race lead.
Yeah, I'm very happy for her. I hope it will be enough for the final. And she must be very happy as well.
So on course in this double upstream, gate 3 and 4 now, it is Victoria Dobrotvorska for the Ukraine. She was 8th at the Bratislava World Cup, so she made the final there in the 2nd World Cup of the season, and 16th in Tarsen, the 3rd World Cup of the season in Slovenia. And well, Naomi Fox has set the new time for everyone to chase, and Victoria 8.22 seconds down, and it's so easy, the time slips away, you just lose your rhythm, and then it really just starts to ebb away, and big mistakes there for Victoria, and it may well be a 50-second penalty incurred.
Yeah, it's very tricky course in C1 for the girls. It looks very, very hard, and so hard.
Well, Victoria looks like she has refocused herself, really nicely done through the upstream 16, showing her class there, but that mistake on gate 11 to 12 has meant she has a 50-second penalty, and she will not progress into the final. That final will be on at 12 o'clock Central European time, and I know for viewers within Europe that because the event was on Eurosport yesterday, the live stream was held until after that. You'll be pleased to hear that it will be live on the live stream, 12 o'clock Central European time. You can follow that on Planet Canoe. But Victoria Dobrotvorska, that's how to do the upstream gate, showing us her class, but that mistake on gate 12 is going to keep her out of the final. So the top 3 at the moment: Naomi Fox of Australia, Rosalind Lawrence of Australia, Sona Stanovska of Slovakia, and 1:23.37 is the current lead time. What kind of time do you think it's going to take to win this semi-final?
I think some girls will go around 116, 115. I think this will be the winning time of the semi-final. But then on the other hand, you never know what's going to happen. Always some surprises. But yeah, I think Naomi has a very, very good chance, and also Ross to progress to the final.
I would agree. I think they've put themselves in a great position. As we watch the first competitor from the People's Republic of China, it is Shi Chen, who is the 2017 Asian champion. So far, her best result of the season is 11th at Lee Valley, just missing out in the final. Can she put those early mistakes, those early touches behind her and build into this run? She looks like she's doing that,
wow,
doesn't she?
This was a very, very nice combination from her, and I think she's doing a very good job, and despite the mistakes, she is very, very fast.
Great switching there. As she comes towards the split, we'll get an indication of where she stacks up, and she is absolutely level, really, 0.24 down, but another penalty picked up by Shi Chen of the People's Republic of China. So it is still up for grabs on the bottom part of the course, but we know Naomi Fox actually gave a bit of time away in that last upstream gate 24, didn't she?
Yeah. Let's see what she can do.
So Shi Chen of the People's Republic of China, good line in, gets into the eddy now. It's all about digging deep into the reserves, but it's not just on this finish sprint, is it? Because there's a lot of waves moving around. You've actually got to time the strokes quite well. Yeah,
before my runs, I always watched also the water on the after the last upstream to the finish, and it's moving a little, and you can't just push, you have to really go sometimes with the waves.
Well, into second place for Xi Chen of the People's Republic of China, so showing her pace because that includes 6 seconds of penalties. So next up, it's Luca Jones of New Zealand, and another paddler who has been around on the circuit for a long time in the kayak, and I guess the attraction of the Olympic status of the women's C1, and for the last couple of years she's started to focus more and more on this women's C1 event too.
Yeah, she started very late, I would say, or later than the other girls in the C1, but she was progressing so fast and getting fast in C1 as well, and it's very nice to see. And she's a very, very good paddler, and she's doing a very good job.
She is indeed, because whilst the penalties are mounting up, she has still got the pace a little bit. We'll find out on the split time just the kind of distance she is from race leader Naomi Fox of Australia. Of course, she was Olympic silver medalist in Rio 2016 in the kayak event, 12th in this event in the World Championships last year. And Luca, again, looks like she's put those mistakes behind her. She's found the rhythm at the bottom of the course. But the time is slipping away. Look at that, 8.5 seconds down on Naomi Fox. And that would put her right in a cluster of people around about the 130-second mark.
Yeah, but I think with a good finish she could still get some time, find some time in this run, and so far it looks quite good.
She's going to be low, washed away a little bit on the bottom section of the course, having to work really hard to get back into the upstream 24. And Luca Jones of New Zealand is, well, I think it's going to be around 131 kind of territory. It's not going to challenge the race leader, Naomi Fox of Australia, and just under 130 into 6th place. So things starting to tighten up, and certainly Luca goes in the right side of that cluster of people around about the 130 seconds. So next up, it's Zoe Jakob of Germany on course, coming out of the upstream gate 4 and into this tricky 8-gate sequence, 8 relentless downstream gates that are offset across the current, and well, sneaks the first gate, gate 5, where she picked up that penalty, probably didn't help herself as she sets up the move.
It was some nice improvising there, gate 5 already, but she did a good job. Yeah, it doesn't look so bad actually.
And we were in Germany last weekend for the World Cup 4 in Markkleeberg, just outside Leipzig, and well, there the honours went to Nuria Villarubla of Spain. She took the maximum points, 60 points in the World Cup race, but of course we have double points here. 120 points up for grabs for the winner of this the World Cup final in this women's C1 event. The final gets underway at 12 o'clock Central European time. And here, well, again, the penalties just mounting up. 15 seconds adrift, mainly on the back of those penalties. So, Victoria, you would have raced here quite a lot in Prague. The spectators are really close. The atmosphere is really good. What's your favourite thing about this venue?
I think it's really the atmosphere here. I remember last year racing the final. It was crazy. People were cheering for everyone, and I came down my final run and I heard everyone screaming and hitting the walls, and it's so good to see how people in Czech Republic are enjoying the sport, how many are showing up to support not only the Czech guys but really everyone, and that's the best thing to say for me, is really that people are enjoying it.
Well, it's actually the Czechs are starting to get animated now, because the first Czech boat is on course, but it is Zoe Jakob of Germany. Only goes into 13th place, so no place for her in the final, but on course for the Czech Republic, Eva Rihova, and well, very capable of getting into the final. Eva, she's a 2-time junior world championship finalist, and
yeah, she's also one of the girls who is not switching very often. She stays pretty much on her right side, and she did a very, very good job on the top part of the course, and no penalty. I think this is very important, and looks like this can be a very good run. Yeah.
You're right. She's really nailing this tricky sections, and at the end of the day, this is a familiar course for her. So the demands of these offsets will be quite familiar territory as Eva comes down towards the bottom section, towards the next upstream gate 21. 3.19 down on Naomi Fox of Australia, our current race leader, but still very much in the mix as she comes into the upstream 21.
Yeah, I think if she stays clean and has a good bottom part, she can still challenge this time of Noemi. Let's see the last upstream.
It's interesting that the Czechs often have spun on 23 to set up 24, and it does seem to work very well. We saw that in the men's C1. I'm trying to think which of the Czech paddlers did it, but it worked well in the men's C1 yesterday. And Eva Ryova of the Czech Republic is going to be outside the race lead time, but into third place. And well, the times are starting to come down as we're getting close now to being able to confirm who our finalists are, because we've had 19 boats down in this 30-boat semi-final, and of course in a few moments time we'll start to confirm who is through. And Naomi Fox of Australia, current race leader, looking very comfortable at this stage. Well, on course now it is Monika Skachova of Slovakia, bronze at the under-23 Worlds this year, so has come out of that summer break and with a really positive experience. She's an under-23 European champion as well from last year, so very capable of that and showing it on this top part of the course.
Yeah, she's also one of the girls who is not switching, so she's a righty and sticking with it. Yeah, looks good.
It was all going really well there. Just a little mistake, 12 to 13. Had to really dig deep to get up back into shape on the upstream gate 13. But looks like she is still on track now, and we'll find out just how much time she might have lost on the split. She was 1 second down on race leader Naomi Fox of Australia at the early split, but that dropping low into the upstream 13s cost her an additional 6 seconds nearly of time. But it's good into the upstream 21. She's got a good run of the boat, and now she's got to stay focused on the bottom few gates.
Yeah, I wonder if she's doing the reverse now as a righty. I think would be a good option. Oh, she's going for the direct. Wow.
And well, it's a little bit low and has to work hard on that crossbow, and it's quite a difficult move for the right-handed paddlers unless you switch, isn't it?
It is. But I'm very impressed by all the girls who are not switching, doing the crossbow, managing the crossbow so well. It's very nice to see.
So Monika Skachova of Slovakia goes into 12th place, and well, it's a respectable run, but it is the wrong side of that group of people and won't be in the final. So 10 boats now to go in this women's C1 semi-final, and well, Naomi Fox of Australia leading the way at the moment, looking like she's booked herself a place in the final. Xi Chen of the People's Republic of China in second, Eva Ryova of the Czech Republic in third, but on course Ana Shatila of Brazil, who's always an exciting paddler. She will be boosted by the fact she took a silver medal yesterday in the women's kayak event, and you could argue that her 103 yesterday in the women's kayak was, everyone thought, would be enough to take the gold, and then Jess Fox spoiled that Brazilian party.
Well, Anna is in such a good form right now, and it's so nice to watch her paddle in both categories. She's really flying on the water, and she's doing a good job now as well. And I think this will be a very good and challenging run. And yeah, she's in the front. It was very nice to see. Very good combinations.
Well, look at that, 0.43 advantage, and yeah, just a little bit of a touch with the bow of the boat on the upstream gate 21 there. But you're right, Ana Shatila looks very much on track to book a place in the final.
Wow.
That's excellent work, isn't it, there? Anna makes 23-24 look so easy.
This was a very nice finish of her run, and I think this will be enough for the first place. Yes.
It will indeed.
Wow.
Well done, Anna Satila. You are our first qualifier through to this afternoon's final. Anna Satila of Brazil, 121.39, and that includes a 2-second penalty, so it's a 119 raw time. So next up, it's the third French paddler on course, and it is Lucie Baudu of France, who's well, she started her season well, 5th at the European Championships in Po, then she had 4th at the Lee Valley World Cup. She hasn't done all of the races, 16th Bratislava, 22nd in Markkleeberg. Now, how good would a final be in terms of getting her season back on track?
Yeah, she's also a paddler who is doing both disciplines and very well, and she's a very smooth paddler, controlling her boat very well and not rushing it. Very nice style to see. She might not look always the fastest, but the boat is always running, and yeah, I think she's doing a good job here.
I would agree. It's deceptive, isn't it? Sometimes some paddlers are quite deceptive, that they don't look fast, but they are absolutely timing the strokes right, using the water to its maximum effect, and Lucie is very much doing that. Just the one touch so far, and look at that. She's less than a second down on race leader Anna Satila of Brazil.
Yeah, there was another touch now, but I think this will be... Oh, she's going on down on the left side. We've seen this a couple of times at the C1m as well.
And there we see, that is the danger, isn't it? It pushes you onto the wall. She recovers from that, but if you get pushed onto the wall, it can be quite hard to get off the wall. But
yeah.
A good move on 24. Lucie Baudu is now paddling to the finish. It may not be enough to take the race lead, but in under 123.37 will get her a guaranteed place in the final. It's going to be under that. Nice. Well done, Lucie. You are in the final. And Anna Satila leads ahead of Lucie Baudu, and then Naomi Fox of Australia. Still waiting to see if she has done enough. So Polina Mughalieva of the Russian Federation is on course now into this double upstream gate 3 and 4.
Yeah, she's a very strong paddler, and she showed she can be very fast, especially at the beginning of the season. There was some world ranking races. She was very fast in the semis and qualies. So
well, Paulina,
go back now.
Yeah, Paulina, she sort of came out of the wave on 4, didn't quite get the line right, and in some ways it was probably wise that she made sure she reset herself down the sequence. Otherwise it's so easy, isn't it, to force the move and then take lots of penalties.
The Russian girls are getting also stronger and stronger. It's nice to see how good they all are.
So nicely done from 12 to 13, using the white water, the stopper there to get that line, get the launch into 13. And Polina Mughalieva of the Russian Federation now coming down through 15. This is now going to be tight into the upstream 16. Well, she's certainly tight. That's nicely done.
See if she could make up some time.
So remember, she had quite a time loss at the top on the exit of gate 4, setting up gate 5, and that's now showing on the clock 11.6 down. And well, that's going to be around about the 130 kind of territory, and there's a big group of athletes on that time. And if that is the time, then it's going to be outside of the final, unfortunately. So Polina Mughalieva, well, it's running out of options now to find some time on this course, but it is nice into 24.
Wow, this is one of the best combinations we saw from the girls today, and I think she could make up some time here.
Yep, if she can get in the right side of the 130s, it'll get her a better position and into 8th place. So good job on the bottom section there for Polina Mughalieva of the Russian Federation into 8th place. But, well, that's good news for Naomi Fox of Australia, because she is our 3rd qualifier in this competition. Anna Satila of Brazil still leading 121.39. As we watch Avi Liebfarth of the United States of America now on course, 15-year-old who took a medal in the World Cup in Tarzen in Slovenia, and actually made the final on her first ever World Cup. So there's been a bit of a, well, certainly made her name this year. But
no. Oh, this run was so good till this point.
Yeah, she was up on the split, but she will have dropped time, but she won't pick up any penalties. The key thing now is, can she refocus, can she concentrate now on this bottom section, because she's still in the mix for a place in the final.
Yeah, she's still such a young athlete, and I think she was surprising everyone this year, how fast she can paddle, and it's very good to see young athletes pushing us older ones a little bit, and yeah, I'm a big fan of her.
So 7 seconds down, it's not over yet. Avi Liebfast needs to bottom section, and she could still keep her dream of a final alive here. Nicely done again into 24. She's tight in and out. So it is going to challenge for a place in the final, and well, what a good news story that would be, having had a roll on the course. She's kept her focus, she's racing hard, and she is into the final. Avi Liebfast of the United States of America. Respect there. Well, we'll get to see what she's fully capable of in that final.
Good job.
So Anna Statila leading for Brazil, ahead of Lucy Baudou of France, Naomi Fox of Australia, Avi Liebfast of the United States. 4 qualifiers so far, but 6 boats still to go. They're the fastest 6 from the heats. And on course, Alsu Minazova of the Russian Federation, now negotiating through gate 7. Just picks up a penalty on the downstream gate 7, but in touch. 2.2 seconds down, that just reflects that penalty really. Well, the weather here in Prague is much better than yesterday. Yesterday, the drizzle in the morning, it didn't really dampen the atmosphere, but today the sun is shining and no wind. Perfect conditions really for the athletes.
And for the spectators as well. More than for the athletes, probably.
That's a very good point there. So myself, Andy Maddock, and alongside me, Victoria Wolfhard, the European champion in this event in 2018, who unfortunately missed out on this semi-final. Uncharacteristic, given that you're lying 3rd in the World Cup standings so far after 4 races.
Yeah, this is the sport. Things happen, unfortunately. But,
well, that's our gain as an audience today, because it's great to get your insight here in the commentary box. As well, down at the bottom of the course, well, that's a good recovery. That was really wide on 23, but you can see 2-3 strokes. That's probably 2 or 3 seconds dropped on the bottom for Alsu Minazova of the Russian Federation. It is a good time coming together. Will it be enough to qualify outright? I'm not sure. Into 6th place, so she is in with a good position, but we'll have to just wait and see. Shi Chen of the People's Republic of China is now confirmed into the final. So next up, it's the second of 3 British boats on course. It is Mallory Franklin of Great Britain.
yeah, she's one of the best girls to watch, I think, for me. Incredible strong also on the crossbow, even though she's switching, and it's
well, a little bit out of shape there, as we hear from you, Vicky, there. And Mallory Franklin.
Oh no!
Having all sorts of problems here on this Prague course. But we saw with Avi Liebfast, it's not all over if you make a mistake. But those penalties mounting up for Mallory Franklin. She was the European champion earlier on this season. She then started the World Cup season with a win on her home soil in Lee Valley World Cup 1. She hasn't actually raced any World Cups since then.
In London, winning both classes, it was very impressive to see, and she's definitely one of the best paddlers in the world. And
well, 11 seconds down, we saw Avi Liebfast come from 6 seconds down, I think it was, and Mallory not finding the lines on the bottom section either. So Mallory Franklin of Great Britain under threat here, and maybe a big shock not making it through into the semi-final. But let's not rule her out, because anything's possible with Mallory. Place in the final and into 11th place and out of the final. So the first big shock in this women's C1 semi-final. Mallory Franklin will be not being in that women's C1 final. So her bad news is good news for Alsu Minazova of the Russian Federation, who is our next qualifier. So we have 4 boats still to go on course, and the Czech Republic is starting to wind up now because the Czech fans are cheering down Tereza Fiserova on course in her distinctive red boat, yellow helmet, as she comes down into the downstream gate 10.
Yeah, she's very good in the K1 as well. I think she won the under 23 Europeans in the K1, so it's very good to see. And she's one of the best in the C1 as well, and picking up so many medals the last couple of years, even though she's still so young. And she's doing a good job on her home course in front of the home crowd, and I think that is what the people want to see. And wow, it's good out there cheering for her, and yeah, this atmosphere in Prague is always great.
Well, here we see she comes through gate 19, then she is very much in touch with the race leader, Ana Satila of Brazil, less than a second down, and well, the job is to qualify through in the top 10, and if she can just stay composed on the bottom section, she's comfortably done that. Now it'll be interesting to see whether she spins this like the other Czech paddlers do on 23. No, she takes it forwards, and
very nice. Wow.
Gets it tight in and out of 24. Tereza Fiserova of the Czech Republic, I think, not only is going to be into the final, but she will challenge that race lead time set by Ana Satila of Brazil, and just outside, 0.11 outside of the time, but into second place. Well done. We'll see Tereza in the final. At final, 12 o'clock Central European time here on Planet Canoe, and of course now on course Jessica Fox, the 4-time world champion, the world number 1, is on course. She's the reigning World Cup winner as well, in and out the upstream gate 4.
Always impressive what Jess shows on the water, and after yesterday's crazy good run, I think she has a lot of confidence, and she will show another good run or 2 good runs today, and good to watch her.
She's leading the World Cup standings after 4 races by quite a margin, but in order to keep hold of that lead, she definitely needs to make it through into the final. Now, a bit of a sticky, messy section in the middle, but she's settled it now, and still very much on track for place in the final.
Nice save. Has prevented touch.
Has to just drop her hand off the blade, but and she still took a penalty actually there on gate 15. But Jessica Fox still on track, and it'll be interesting to see what the split tells us as she comes down. Well, she's down on the split again. Not too much of an issue because the job is to get through into the final. We saw that yesterday. She was solid in the semi-finals in the women's K1 event, and then she came out all guns blazing in the final and produced an outstanding 101 in that women's K1 final. Takes on move forwards. It's going to be tight into 24. That's superbly done. Jessica Fox surely on track to a place in this women's C1 final here in Prague in the Czech Republic.
Yeah, it's so good to see how she's progressing round for round. Like, oh, this was a 114 raw time. Wow.
Look at that time, and most of that time found on the bottom section from 21 onwards. So interesting to see there. But Jessica Fox, new race leader, and into the final ahead of Ana Satila of Brazil and Tereza Fiserova of the Czech Republic, as we watch Kimberly Woods of Great Britain. So second fastest in the heats. Very tidy line, 3 to 4. Now enters this tricky sequence, and so important to get the line into it right.
This she made very, very nice, and Kim also had a very good season so far, and she is doing a very good job here as well.
So just that 2-second penalty on gate 8. She had a good race yesterday. I think she was 5th in the final of the women's K1 event. Now coming into the upstream 13. She's paddling well, but she has now picked up 2 touches. So Kimberly Woods of Great Britain needing to just stay clean on the bottom section.
Yeah, but so far I think not many girls may manage to do a clean run, and I think if she keeps it up like this, it will be enough for the final.
Oh, it's great. It's great here in the commentary box watching you, Vicky, because you're living every move for these athletes. You can see that it's great to see how much you care about their performance, and you're just trying to help them on the way.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I can't really, but yeah, I'm living with them. It's like I would do myself a run in this 30 times for all the girls, and it stresses me out. I'm nervous. It's crazy.
Well, Kimberly Woods went through the last split in the virtual race lead. She has 4 seconds in penalties, but she is comfortably fast enough for a place in the final. And as she crosses the line, she takes the race lead, books herself a place in the final. Well done, Kimberly. But again, as you say, wow, because another 1:14 time. And it shows the potential that is out there ready for the final. So one boat still to go, and the boat is from Austria, your compatriot, Nadine Verachnik. And, well, you train together a lot, and you probably push each other hard, I would say.
Yeah, we're in the same training group, and we really, I think, push each other on every training, and it's very good to have such strong competitors in your own team. And yeah, she is also one of the girls who's not switching, and she is managing it so well. One of the stronger girls in the circuit, and yeah, I'm always impressed with what she can do on the water, not switching. It's crazy.
So Nadine, I have to say, everybody I think felt for her last weekend in Leipzig in Germany. She put in an outstanding run in the semi-final and another one in the final, but a mistake in the last few strokes on the course kept her out of the medals.
Yeah, so hard to say. I thought it will be the win already, and I think she was very devastated after the run, but I think she learned out of it as well, and we'll see. Maybe she can repeat it today without the mistake.
Well, she's really good into the upstream 21. The penalties mounting up, but she is still in touch with a place in the final, but she can't really afford any more penalties. So Nadine Verachnik of Austria now coming through 23.
Oh, this was so good. Wow.
Surely she has
Wow.
found some time at the bottom part of the course. The job is to get through into the final. The time to beat is 1:25.77. She is going to be inside that. And look at that. 4 touches, but she's still into the final. Well done, Nadine.
Wow. Another impressive run by her. She can't believe it herself. Wow.
And it really shows, doesn't it, that you might think you're having a bad run, but you've got to stick at it because you don't know how it's going to stack up with everybody else. And of course, they all start from 0 in the final. So provisionally, the results of the women's C1 semi-final. It is Kimberly Woods of Great Britain who will go off last in the final. That final starts at 12 o'clock Central European time. Jessica Fox of Australia, 2nd place. Anna Satila of Brazil in 3rd. Teresa Fisarova, Czech Republic. Nadine Verachnik of Austria, 5th place with 8 seconds in penalties. Then joined by Lucy Bourdou of France, Naomi Fox of Australia, Avi Liebfarth of the United States, Shi Chen of the People's Republic of China. And first off in that final will be Alsu Minazova of the Russian Federation. Your reflections on that women's C1 semi-final?
Yeah, I think the girls did a great job. You saw how hard the course is. For the girls, it's very tricky, and but some impressed a lot. And I think there's so many from so many different countries in the final. That's very nice to see. I think only 2 Australians, otherwise it's all mixed. And wow, wide range, and that's very good for the sport, I think.
Yeah, big shock there. Mallory Franklin of Great Britain in 15th place, the winner of the first World Cup of the season. So, yeah, that leaves it open. But Jessica Fox, of course, the leader of the World Cup standings after 4 races, well placed to defend her World Cup title in 2019. Well, 1:14.40 is the fastest raw time. And it'll be interesting to see what we see in the final, because it's going to take some risk, isn't it? And the penalties can mount up.
Yeah, I think you really have to find mix between taking the risk and having a solid and clean run. This will be the challenge, I think, and so many good paddlers in the final, and I think it will be a very, very interesting one.
Well, here we have the lineup for the women's canoe final. The results of the semi-final: Kimberly Woods of Great Britain is the fastest qualifier. She'll go off last in the final. But big names there: Jessica Fox, Anna Satila, medalists yesterday in the women's kayak event. And then looking at the people who didn't qualify: Rosalind Lawrence, early race leader for Australia; Mallory Franklin, who we talked about, well, some big names across the competition. They're French, unable to get an athlete into the final on this occasion, and this is their Olympic selection. So
there's Lucy in the final.
Apologies. Well spotted there, Victoria. So yeah, Lucy comes out top in that and has the opportunity to improve that result. So the women's C1 final will get underway at 12 o'clock Central European time. We'll be up next with the men's kayak semi-final. Here's the start list: 40 boats racing for just 10 places in the final. And well, thank you for joining us, Victoria Volfart of the Austrian team, joining us for that semi-final. It was great to have your insight, and hopefully you can join us for the final later on at 12 o'clock.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, hopefully hear you and see you later.
Great stuff. Well, I'll be back in just a moment with the men's kayak semi-final lineup. So don't go away. I'll be back in about 30 seconds.
Děkujeme moc, že jste a že dál budete až do předešlého programu, protože ten dnešní program nekončí jedním slovem, nekončíme. Dnes těsně po polovičfinálem, kdy vám na všichni vítězů představíme ty vůbec nejlepší v rámci dnešního finále červeného poháru, ale samozřejmě také budeme pokračovat v rámci extrémního kolu, kdy se na vás těší i tímto členové USK Praha, před kterého vidíte úplně vpravo, dobře znáte i právě ze stupňů vítězů, takzvaný šmou, a posílám své srdce vám, kteří jste tady s námi a budete i v průběhu dnešního dne fandit v tuhle chvíli primárně kajakářům, protože je to právě kajakářská kategorie, kterou nám rozjíždí Ir Tengu. Je 10 hodin 5 minut a začíná boj o pouhou 10.
Well, it is men's K1 semi-finals time here. We're live from Prague in the Czech Republic, and it is the World Cup final. And well, huge anticipation here from the Prague crowd here, the Czech crowd rooting for the men's kayak in particular. They always expect a medal here in Prague. So myself, Andy Maddock, now alongside me as well, Jack Danjan of the New Zealand team is going to join me through this men's K1 semi-final as we watch who of the 40 boats is going to make it through into that 10-boat final. So welcome, Jack. What are your reflections on this course? What are the big challenges going to be for these men's kayaks?
Yeah, it's pretty much the whole way down. It's just non-stop. So you've got to be on it the whole way down, and you can't go slow and smooth either because you've got to push quite hard because the water's quite slow.
Well, let's see, because first up on the course, effectively setting the pace for everyone else to check, is Owen Teague of the Irish team.
He looks like he's on a pretty good run. One touch.
And this sort of time, and we had the privilege, and it's only really happens in Prague, really, in the Czech team, of Ondrej Tunka, the world champion of 2017, being a forerunner, and his time was 95 seconds. So that gives us an indication of the kind of territory that we might be looking at to get into the 10-boat final. What do you think it's going to take?
Yeah, I think around 95 would be a good time, and yeah, that could well put you into the final.
Well, at the moment, it's Owen Teague of Ireland sets the first run down, so he goes under 100 seconds. It's a 99.47 plus a 2-second penalty, but as I speak, a 50-second penalty awarded on the upstream gate 13 for Owen. And, well, there's no way back from that, unfortunately. So let's look at the top of the course on this upstream gate 3 and 4 sequence. It's Canada's Michael Taylor on course and already in trouble on the upstream 4.
Yeah, Michael Taylor comes to New Zealand quite a lot, so yeah, for the summer in New Zealand, and does the hard training there.
Well, that's the benefit, isn't it? In New Zealand, you've got a new facility in Auckland, and the benefit of a lot of people, trying to chase the sun in the European winter to find a good racing opportunities as well as training. I know I spent a bit of time in New Zealand a long time ago, before you had any good facilities really, but based around Akiri Falls on the Kaituna there. I think a few people are familiar with that.
Yeah, they enjoy it.
So it is Michael Taylor of Canada now coming down the course, and well, the split is deceptive because that represents Owen Teague, who has a 50-second penalty on his time. Michael Taylor lost a lot of time on the upstream gate 4 at the top of the course, has a penalty on the upstream gate 13, and well, Michael was represented Canada at the Olympic Games in Rio. He was 16th there, and he has yet to make it into a top 20 result in the World Cup this season. So it'll be interesting to see whether he's done enough. But 105, 106, it's not going to be. Yes, it goes into first place at this stage in the competition, but I think that in order to make it through in the top 10, I think you definitely have to be under 100 seconds. I'm almost going to suggest that you have to be under 96 seconds. Only time will tell on that one as our next competitor starts. And the next competitor is our competitor from Japan, and it is Kazuya Adachi.
Yeah, I believe it's part of the Japanese Olympic selection. So it's a pretty big race for the Japanese.
Yeah, and they also use the Tartan World Cup in Slovenia as part of their Olympic selection process. Of course, they're hosting the Olympic Games in 320 days' time, so really starting to get close. And, well, Kazuya Adachi has had 2 medals at World Cup level, so really strong in the 2016 and 2017 season. Hasn't quite found that form yet in 2019, but maybe this is the race to do it.
Yeah, this could be it. When he's on form, he goes super fast.
So really attacking the course, and in this men's K1 category, compared to what we've just seen in the women's C1 category, we'll see the athletes really cutting the lines on these gates, in particular on the upstream red and white gates.
He's up 9 seconds on the split, so it looks like the run's coming together quite good.
Well, this is still a lot of time in the bottom section. He's looking really fluid here as he comes into the upstream 24. Tries to do it on the sweep, not quite, but it is a good run coming together for the Japanese paddler Kazuya Adachi. Now sprinting to the finish, and it is 95.73, and it's a great time that, well, only time will tell if that's good enough, but he's put himself right in the mix for a place in the final. That final will follow on from the women's C1 final, 12 o'clock Central European time, the women's C1 final, and around about 12:40 is the men's K1 final. You can follow that live on Planet Canoe. So next up on course, it is Xin Quan of the People's Republic of China, who was 18th last weekend in Magdeburg in Germany in World Cup 4. And well, Xin Quan has won a silver medal in the 2016 Asian Championships, and certainly is really attacking that top section.
Yeah, unfortunate touch there, so he needs to just hold it together now.
And another touch on that sequence. Well, that's the danger, isn't it? You attack a bit too hard, particularly on this technical offset sequence, and you cancel out any time you've gained through penalties.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to send it from the start to try to beat the Japanese, but he, yeah.
Well, it's interesting because that Japanese time, 95.73, that's very good, and we'll get an indication of how good very soon, because Peter Kauzer will be up next for Slovenia, the world #1, who, well, he unusually had to qualify through on the second run of the heats, so we will get an indication of that, and I believe it's Peter's birthday today as well, so he could be looking to celebrate in a big way if he can get through to the final and get a race win here in Prague. But at the moment, it's looking like it's not going to be a place in the final for Xin Quang of the People's Republic of China at this stage in the competition. Those two touches on gate 6 and gate 8 proving costly, and outside the 101.67, outside the 100 seconds. But here he is, the legend of the sport, Peter Kauzer of Slovenia, world #1, Olympic silver medalist, two-time world champion, and very much in the mix in the overall World Cup standings, lying in second place after the first 4 races of the World Cup. And I always think Peter's style is so, well, effortless, but that's absolutely, he is pulling all the way down the course.
Yeah, he won the Europeans here last year in Prague, so he definitely is fast on this course.
Well, he's taking on this now offset sequence, 8 downstream gates in a row. Now the athletes having to be really reactive on this course, and Peter looking like he's found the rhythm. He's really super smooth as he whips it round on 13, certainly leaving nothing out there on the river. Now coming through 15 into the upstream gate 16. Peter just looks like he is effortless, and we'll get an indication on the split as to where he stacks up on the bottom section. 1 second up now on the time of our race leader Kazuya Adachi of Japan, and he's great on 21.
He just nailed 21.
Well, Peter Kauzer of Slovenia, there's no title he hasn't really won. He was chasing an Olympic medal for so long in his career. He finally got that in Rio. He got the silver medal, and I know he's desperate to come away with a gold medal from Tokyo. But his job today is just get in that final and see if he can get into the World Cup title for 2019. Well, Peter Kauzer is into the race lead, 95.09 seconds, and well, there is an asterisk by his name, and I suspect that's just the video judges looking at that upstream gate 13 would be my my thoughts. Not that I'm saying that there'll be a penalty, but I think it is just checking it out before the result is confirmed. But I think that confirms as well, Kazuya Adachi of Japan has had a pretty good run.
Yeah, it does. And I think Peter Kauzer, that could be a final run, so...
Well, the asterisk has gone off Peter Kauzer's time, so it is now firm, 95.09, the race leader for Slovenia. So Ben Hayward now on course, coming up through the upstream gate 4 through for Canada. He is a 3-time World Cup finalist. This season hasn't gone his way so far, so he has struggled to make it through. His best result so far, 37th on 2 occasions, so Ben Hayward will be hoping to get his season on track as we're 3 weeks out from the World Championships in this race. So a penalty there on gate 8, and was there another penalty in the upstream? It might have been a water splash.
He's one of those peddlers that goes all or nothing.
Yeah, it's really exciting, isn't it? An exciting style, but it can be quite nerve-wracking to watch.
Yeah.
So 5 seconds down on the split time for Ben Hayward of Canada as he comes into the upstream gate 21. That's a big ask to find anything, and he has been given that 2-second penalty on gate 13. I did think that he might have just touched it, but that will have extended the deficit. So good on 24, but too little too late maybe.
Yeah, nailed that last move.
He certainly did on 24. Ben Hayward of Canada goes into 4th place. 103.16 is the time. And, well, it is useful that we have Peter Kauzer of Slovenia at the top of the leaderboard, the world #1. Him going off early on the back of not delivering on his first run in the heats is helpful. So next up it is Igor Sviet of the Ukraine, who is actually a 2-time World Cup finalist. Hasn't raced in that many races, but clearly when he gets his either when he races or when he gets it right, he can get into a final. And in this men's kayak competition, the fight for places in that top 10 is significant, isn't it?
Yeah, he doesn't live too far from this course, so he does a few training camps here, so he'll know the course well. And he's going for those tight lines.
Well, 0.54 up on the race leader from Slovenia at the moment, so it's a good start to his competition, but we do know that it's all about delivering the course all the way down, and this bottom section is where we'll start to see whether he's held on to that advantage. Well, he's still in touch, 0.82, and it's a good run coming together. It's clean so far for Igor Sviet of the Ukraine, but a little sticky on 21. Goes for the punt, but doesn't quite find the wall.
Yeah, we'll see what he can do in this last up, because Peter Kauzer dropped a bit low, so he might get some time on him.
Well, here we go. Igor is tight on the upstream 24. It's a good run. And, well, let's see. It's going to be around 96, 97 seconds, I think, as he comes towards the finish line. Digging deep, timing the strokes over the wave. 97.68 into third place for Igor Sviet of the Ukraine. But it is Peter Kauzer leading in the early stages of this competition for Slovenia. Peter Kauzer lying second in the overall standings, and actually, surprisingly for Peter, hasn't had a World Cup win this year yet.
Yeah, that is super surprising. He hasn't laid them down in the finals like he usually does.
Well, do you want to introduce the next paddler, Jack?
Yeah, Callum Gilbert from New Zealand. He's had some super good results this year. Made the Junior Worlds final, and yeah, had an unfortunate 50 in it, but also made the World Cup final in London. Got the New Zealand's best ever result in a World Cup for a K1 man. So yeah.
Yeah, he was fifth in that World Cup race, really set that race alive for sure. And, well, can he do it here? He certainly looks like he's attacking this course, and nothing to choose between them as he goes through the move through gate 9 and 10. It looks like he's really, well, he's just in harmony with the white water, isn't he? He looks like he's racing without fear.
Yeah, he's a super light peddler and real like bouncy on the water, and super fit actually.
Well, it's so far so good for Callum Gilbert of New Zealand as he comes through gates 17 to 18, where we'll get another idea as to where he stacks up on the split. And it is still in touch. 0.82 down now, but that's against the two-time world champion Peter Kauzer of Slovenia. And 21 was tidy. Now there's still a bit of time in the bottom section, particularly in the last upstream.
Let's see what he can do here. Hopefully he can come in tight. Yeah, it's all right.
When he gets it on the sweep, not quite fully gets the exit on the sweep, but it's a really good run here for Callum Gilbert of New Zealand, and it is just going to be, where is he going to stack up on the 10th? 96.33. Great run there into third place. And at the moment, Peter Kauzer still leading for Slovenia ahead of Kazuya Adachi of Japan. And then Callum Gilbert there goes into third place for New Zealand. But we still have 32 boats to go in this men's K1 semi-final, and just 10 places up for grabs in the final. Well, on course now, it is Mathurin Madore of France, the French team, having a part of their Olympic selection process here in this race. So an extra story within the competition itself. And Mathurin now coming into this tricky section. 8 gates in a row, and so important to stay ahead of the game through these downstream sequences. And a penalty picked up on downstream gate 8.
Yeah, he just recently got a medal at the Under-23 Worlds, so he's on good form.
Yeah, and he made the final at the Bratislava World Cup, his second World Cup of the season, and they haven't done, the French team haven't done all of the races with their 18 boats. He was 28th at Lee Valley, then he made the final at Bratislava, and well, now here, tuning in, ready for the World Championships. Those World Championships in Laseo in 3 weeks' time, where we'll also be having the Olympic qualification. But another penalty there for Mathurin Madora of France, and 4 seconds of penalties. That's a big ask to qualify into the top 10 with that kind of penalty on your time.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to take Peter Kauzer out.
Well, it'll also be that internal battle within the French team, because it's all about relative positions as Mathurin Madora crosses the line into 4th place. So look at that, 96.99 his time, his total time, but that means he's done a 92.99, and well, he'll be thinking about that a little bit today as to those penalties and how much they might have cost him.
Yeah, super fast raw speed.
So 92.99, that just shows what is out there. And still to come, we've got the fastest paddlers from the heats on Friday. But here's a fast paddler on course. It is Australia's Daniel Watkins, who has really, well, made his mark at the senior level, particularly in the qualification and the semi-finals rounds. Hasn't necessarily delivered the consistency that he would like, but very capable of fast runs.
Yeah, very talented paddler to be able to be so good in both classes.
So he was 10th. He made the final at the Lee Valley World Cup, the first World Cup of the season in Great Britain. Then, since then, he has missed out Bratislava, Tarzen, and I don't think he raced in Markkleeberg in Germany last weekend, but very much back in it now in the final run into those World Championships. So gate 3, a 2-second penalty showing on that gate. Daniel Watkins of Australia down on the split, 3 seconds down on race leader Peter Kauzer. So he is putting a fast time together, given that he's got a 2-second penalty. And we know that you know, fast and clean is the name of the game, and if you give a penalty, you've got to be able to absorb that with some raw speed. Wow, effortless on the bottom move.
You know, his arms will be burning now.
That lactic acid really working every ounce of his energy in the bottom part of the course. 97.37 includes a 2-second penalty. 4th place, it's a good run for Daniel Watkins, but I think we're going to see just how tight the racing is. This course is not going to separate out the times quite as much as some of the courses, and it is still Peter Kauzer standing firm at the top of the leaderboard with 10 boats down, 30 to go. And, well, on course, Finn Butcher of New Zealand, who again has been making his mark over the course of the last couple of years.
Yeah, he'll be out there to make the final today. He just missed it in Bratislava. But yeah, he's made every semi-final that he's at the World Cups that he's raced this year.
And he was 4th at the Under-23 Worlds last year in Ivrea in Italy. So really showing his capabilities as he comes down through Gate 7, 8, 9 and 10. He's certainly attacking the course, but a penalty, 2 in a row. It's so easy to do that, and suddenly you get on your back foot.
Yeah, you've got to be clean on this course because the guys are going so quick.
So what has the New Zealand team been doing to prepare for this race? When did you arrive here?
I arrived here about 2 weeks ago, and we were in Sao for a week. Finn was in Sao for 2 weeks. And then we headed to Prague a week before, and yeah, we're training here because the main focus is the World Champs.
And is that where you know, how are you going to prepare between now and the World Championships? Where are you basing yourselves?
Back in Sao at the World Champs course, and we'll be training there until the race.
And the Sao course, if you're not familiar with it, 1992 Olympic venue in the Pyrenean Mountains in northern Spain, is a fantastic venue, well, lots of people will be basing themselves there in the next few weeks, ready for those World Championships. Finn Butcher, it's a good time, but those 2 touches, so it's a 96.98 time, but 2 touches put him out of the mix, and at the moment in 7th place, unfortunately.
Yeah, he'll be pretty disappointed with that run, I'm sure.
So, next to start will be Austria's Felix Oschmautz, who was 4th at this year's Under-23 World Championships. He was the Under-18, the Junior World Champion in 2017. And, well, again, yet to really discover that consistency that's required at senior level. But when he finds his pace, he has definitely been capable. He's made World Cup finals, but he's put himself on the back foot. A 2-second penalty early on the first of the upstream gates on gate 3.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if he can make it up, because he's a super quick peddler on his day.
Well, we saw that with Mathieu Madora of France, who put a super fast time, 92.99, but he had 4 seconds of penalties to add on to that. And, well, Felix looks like he has certainly put that mistake behind him. There's no holding back now. He's racing it hard and he's cutting the lines. Well, there's a split time between gate 18 and 19, so we'll get an indication of how he stacks up against Peter Kauzer. 2.5 seconds down, so he is, well, he's in the mix around that time, but that 2-second penalty will prove costly. 10 boats into the final. That final, 12:40 Central European time, is going to be an eagerly anticipated final, and certainly the Czech crowd here will be hoping that the Czech men's kayak can find their form that they're so legendary for. But Felix Oschmautz of Austria puts in a great run. He finds time at the bottom part of the course, 96.97 seconds. It includes a 2-second penalty, and into 4th place. But again, another time under 95. So Peter Kauzer of Slovenia, he is leading the race at the moment, but he'd probably be a little bit nervous to see who else can put in that kind of sub-95 time.
Yeah, here's his teammate here, Martin Shabotnik.
Well, let's look at Martin Shabotnik of Slovenia. So he was 9th at the 2017 World Championships in Po. This season he has had 1 final. That final was in race 3 in Tartzen on his home course. So 25th, 20th, 10th in that final, 39th last weekend in Markkleeberg. But he was 6th at the Under-23 Worlds this year, and he's up on the split.
Yeah, he's nailed that top section. Oh, unfortunate touch.
Oh, just as we speak, isn't it? It was a little bit late there, and another penalty, just squeezing the lines on the upstream gate 13. And suddenly Martin Srabotnik goes from virtual race leader to really chasing and struggling to make the final.
Yeah, it's going to be real hard with those 2 touches to make the final.
Well, it's great to see the crowd here. The sun's shining today in Prague. It was a little bit damp and drizzly yesterday. It didn't really stop the atmosphere, and the crowd still came to this venue, the Vltava River that flows through the centre of Prague, and we're not that far from the centre of Prague, so always got a good crowd and big atmosphere as Martin Srabotnik comes into the final upstream gate 24. And well, I don't think it's going to be a time outside of 100 seconds because of those 2 touches. And into 8th place at the moment. It's well, you just look at these times, 90, everybody's in. With 13 boats in, this semi-final, 95.09 is the time to beat, but we've seen a 92.99 down the course. So Jack, what are your reflections? What do you think it's going to take to win this semi-final?
Oh, I think some of those Czech boys will go pretty fast and probably do around a 92. But yeah, I'd say like you'll be looking at a 95 might get you into the final. But yeah, hard to say at this stage.
Well, I think you're right. I think clearly a 92 is possible. And those Czech boys that you referred to, Jack, the likes of Yuri Prskavec, who is the World Cup leader, he's the Olympic bronze medalist. He'll go off third from last in this semi-final, but also the likes of Vit Prindis, who well, devastated the field last week, took the win in Markleberg in World Cup 4 and really showed he's back on form. But we've also got Vavra Radlek, who is starting to rediscover his form that gave him the world title in 2013. So those Czech paddlers will be up soon. But on course it is Pepe Goncalves of Brazil coming through the upstream gate 21. He's well, he's in touch. 1.34 down on race leader Peter Kauzer of Slovenia, and he's doing the job. He's clean so far, and he was 6th at the Rio Olympic Games in front of his home crowd. That's his best result really on the world stage. And now, can he find some time on the bottom section? He's going to be outside the race lead time, but it's a good run. 96.34 into 4th place. And well, you can see already the 1.25 seconds separates the top 4 boats. And well, he was just 1/100th of a second down on Callum Gilbert. So Callum Gilbert of New Zealand still holding on to 3rd place at the moment. And well, at this stage in the competition, it's going to be a respectable result, whether it makes the final or not.
Yeah, I don't think it will quite be in the final, but it's definitely going to be a good top 15.
So on the course next, it is Michał Pasiut of Poland, who has been pretty consistent actually across the season. So he was a world's finalist last year, 7th at the Lee Valley World Cup, the first race of the season. Then he took a silver medal in Bratislava on the 2nd race. Didn't race the 3rd race and was 14th, just outside the final last weekend in Markleberg in Germany. So Michał Pasiut of Poland could well challenge a place in the final, and he was up on the early part of the split by ½ a second.
Yeah, the last 2 years he's really stepped it up. And a super smooth peddler. Real tight around 16.
Yeah, he looks really well, he's timing his strokes really well, isn't he? And that characteristic, he's dropped a bit of time now, 1.31 down on that split, but great move on 21.
Yeah, if he can nail this bottom up, I think he might be alright. Could go into the lead.
So Michał Pasiut of Poland now just 2 gates away from a place in the final, but sticky on 24. And those are the margins in this men's K1 category. Nothing, you can't find the time back once you've made a mistake. Now sprinting to the finish outside the race lead time, 1.22 down, 3rd place, and wow, it's really getting tight around 96.3 seconds. So Peter Kauzer still leading. Kazuya Adachi of Japan still in 2nd. But look at that. Michał Pasiut of Poland takes 3rd place. There's a 96.31, there's a 96.33 and a 96.34. So 3rd to 5th separated by just 3/100ths of a second.
Yeah, super tight racing.
Well, that's what we like, but it doesn't make it easy for the athletes, but it certainly gives us, the spectators, a great atmosphere. So on course now, it is Krzysztof Masiak of Poland again. So the Polish paddlers will be quite familiar with this kind of course. Certainly the Prague course has a similar characteristic of the likes of Krakow, and Polish well known for their men's kayaks and their attacking style.
Yeah, and Krakow's not too far from Prague, so they'll come here quite a bit for training camps and that.
Well, a little bit deeper than he would have liked in 13, but he was in touch. Just ½ a second down on Peter Kauzer of Slovenia at the early split on this course. But the business end of the course is here, it's in this section here. Really from gate 12 through to 21. So let's have a look. Krzysztof Masiak of Poland now coming down into the upstream 21. Well, he's certainly tight on that. Look at that. That is nothing given away there. And in terms of a time, 1.85. Well, he needs to find some time. He needs to get inside that group of people on 96.3.
He's just nailed that last move, so we'll see the time.
Well, let's See that sprint finish and into 97.47, so drops a bit of time on the bottom section, and that drops him a couple more places into 8th place for Krzysztof Masajak of Poland. And well, unfortunately for him, I think that won't stand the test of time. So we've had 16 boats down. By my calculations, that gives us 24 boats still to go in this men's K1 semi-final. We're live from Prague in the Czech Republic. It is World Cup 5, the World Cup final. Double points up for grabs. 120 points for a race win in the World Cup series. And now on course, it is the first of our German paddlers in this men's kayak semi-final. It is Lukas Stahl, who was 4th at the Junior World Championships in 2017. 20-year-old now. The German A-team had a big race last weekend on home soil, part of their Olympic selection, and then taking a week off ahead of the World Championships final preparation.
Yeah, he's a super aggressive paddler. Has a work rate.
Well, let's watch Lucas. He has picked up that 2-second penalty on gate 9, but in terms of raw time, he was right comparable to Peter Kauzer of Slovenia. So coming through gate 17 and 18, then 3.6 seconds down now, though. So that's a long way back for the German, but valuable lessons. I mean, the intensity just to get into that German men's kayak team. We were really surprised early on in the season. Sebastian Schubert of Germany, who is always a force in the sport, didn't make it through into the top 3 boats, and that kept him out of the Olympic selection process as well as out of this World Cup season.
Yeah, it's one of those teams that's just super hard to make, along with like the Czechs and the French.
Well, it is going to be outside the final for Lukas Stahl of Germany, into 11th place. That 99.09 includes a 2-second penalty. So not to be today for Lukas Stahl of Germany. But here's a name to watch, because from Italy, next up, Zena Ivaldi has had some really close calls to getting into the final. His results this season: 11th in Lee Valley, 12th in Tarsen, 13th last weekend in Markkleeberg. Surely he needs his break now.
Yeah, he's one of those paddlers that cuts the lines quite a bit and is a real aggressive paddler. But yeah, let's see if he can make the final today. Well,
that would be good for him. So he won an under-23 World Championship silver medal in 2017. So very capable of performing under pressure. And I'm sure if he actually gets into the final, he could really paddle with distinction. But the competition just to get into the final is almost harder than the actual final itself.
Yeah, he had a bit of a spin, a bit of a mistake in that middle section, so I don't know if it will be his day today.
Well, yeah, 1.2 down on the early split. Oh, and there's another penalty. Penalty on 17, and Zena Ivaldi, it's all going a little bit wrong. 3.75, whilst that doesn't sound like a lot, it can be a country mile in this men's K1 semi-final kind of territory.
Especially on courses like Prague, it's always like the times are real close together, so it's always tight racing.
And we will see that, I think, when we go to the World Championships in Laseo in Spain in a few weeks' time, just how tight the racing is. So it isn't going to be today for Zena Ivaldi of Italy. 2 touches and only 12th. And, well, disappointment there. But after a strong World Cup season, consistently in just outside the final. But Peter Kauzer still leading for Slovenia. 95.09. Kazuya Adachi of Japan in 2nd. Michał Pasiet of Poland in 3rd. And here is another Polish paddler, Dariusz Popiela, who, well, almost certainly will be the fastest split from the start to gate 1.
Yeah, that's right. He goes for it, but it seems to work out for him, and sometimes I don't know how he gets down the course so consistently each time.
He was 8th at the Rio Olympic Games in 2016, and he took a silver medal this year at the European Championships. So he's 3 times on World Cup podium, So he is very capable of doing it. High risk through there, but it's paying off at the moment. He's up on the split.
Yeah, he's so consistent. He's always up there in the finals and that.
Well, in and out of the upstream gate 20.
Yeah, it's coming. The run's coming together quite nicely, and I think he might, if he can hold it, he might go into the lead.
He is looking very smooth indeed, and he's such an attacking paddler, and certainly one of the more powerful paddlers on the circuit, and he's still in touch. He might have lost the advantage, but he's still in touch with Peter Kauzer of Slovenia and a place in the final, and that's a good way of doing that upstream. He gets the double sweep to get the exit on 21. Darius Popiela leaves nothing on the river, and is always it's quite nervous watching his runs, but it's as you say, it is super consistent.
He's done a nice job of that last up, so let's see what the time is.
Well, he's racing it out. 95.09, it's going to be close, but 96.32 and into fourth place, and he's squeezed in. So we now have someone on 96.31, 96.32, 96.33 and 96.34. So, wow, that's tight. Darius Popiela goes in just behind compatriot Michal Pasiut into fourth place. There is an asterisk against his name. I would suggest that's just to complete the formalities and check through any penalties. Peter Kauzer still leading now as we approach the halfway point in this men's K1 semi-final. And on course now, coming into the upstream gate 3 and 4, it is Lucas Vero of Switzerland, who was, well, his season, his best so far is 16th place in the second World Cup of the season, so just outside the final. 31st, then 16th, then 27th, and then 22nd last weekend in the race in Markkleeberg in Germany.
He's picked up a penalty, 2 now. It's going to be hard to try and get all that time back.
Yeah, it's a big ask for the Swiss paddler as he comes into the upstream gate 16. Well, certainly he's now picked up another penalty, so 3 touches, and it's not going to be for Lucas Vero of Switzerland, but there's the standing at the moment. Peter Kauzer leading ahead of Kazuya Adachi of Japan, Michal Pasiut of Poland, and then Darius Popiela of Poland. But yeah, 3 touches on this run for Lucas Vero of Switzerland. And as we get towards the halfway point, it is Peter Kauzer of Slovenia looking like he's more and more comfortable. Certainly to making a final. I wouldn't say he's that comfortable to go through as the fastest qualifier. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a final for him, but yeah, I reckon the likes of Yuri, Vava and Veit could all do 90, 92s.
And well, it won't be long before we start to see those Czech paddlers down the course. But next up for Portugal, Antoine Launay, who again has had a good season either side of the final, the kind of top 10 barrier. He started off with 12th in Lee Valley, a World Cup 1, then another 12th place in Bratislava just outside the final. Then he made the breakthrough 8th in the final at Tarsen in World Cup 3. And then, well, I guess a disappointment last weekend, picking up penalties in the semi-final and finishing 37th. But Antoine Launay certainly has the pace and will be looking to qualify a place for Portugal at the Olympic Games in those World Championships in 3 weeks' time.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the bigger guys on the circuit. He's definitely got the guns for it.
And that's the balance, isn't it, in this sport? Because if you've got a big frame, you've got to be able to deliver the power on the blade, and sometimes as well the agility side. You've got to make sure you still are agile enough to meet the gymnastic demands of the sport.
Yeah, that's a good thing about the sport. It doesn't matter kind of what size you are, like, because you always have cons and pros.
Yeah, it's a good point, isn't it? And you've got the likes of Yuri Prskavec, who I don't actually know what weight he is, but he must be around 60-something kilos, and quite light, really agile. And
yeah.
Then you've got the big power-to-weight ratio that you need for the bigger framed athletes. But it is a good run coming together. It's a clean run coming together for Antoine Launay of Portugal. He was just 0.17 down on Peter Kauzer, so it is, well, 7th place. So he's dropped some time at the bottom part of the course, and that's more of a reflection on just how tight the racing is, actually. 96.91 his time, and interestingly enough, the top 7 all clean. So really confirming that unless you produce something outstanding, then you're not going to progress through into the final if you have a penalty. So we've already seen the quickest time of the day from France. It was Mathurin Madora, who set a 92.99, but he actually had 6 seconds of penalties in the end. And next up on course, it's Quentin Bergy, who already has a penalty on the upstream gate 3. He had a great start to the season, a bronze at the 2019 European Championships, but hasn't raced that much. He raced at Lee Valley, he was quick, but he had a penalty and finished 38th. And the penalty's already mounting.
Yeah, this run's falling apart a bit, and he's just got a 50-second penalty, so he can't come back from that.
Oh, that's a pity. And there's this French team, it's their, well, it's part of their Olympic selection process, it's not their full part. The first race, I think, was Lee Valley, and then the first World Cup of the season. Then it's this race here, and the main part of their race will be at the World Championships to determine who represents France at those Olympic Games next year. But look at that, the penalties mounting up, unfortunately, for Quentin Bergy, and it's definitely not going to be a final today. Another penalty there on 23.
Yeah. He's one of those light and agile, bouncy paddlers that looks super smooth. So, but unfortunately today, yeah, he's picked up a few too many penalties.
So it'd be interesting to see, because we have the experienced Boris Neveu on. Well, he'll be later on in this semi-final, world champion of 2014, still to come, and it'll be, in terms of the Olympic selection process, then he's got the advantage of knowing what the other paddlers have done, and maybe using his experience to secure maximum points in their French selection. So we're now past the halfway point in this competition, 18 boats to go, so not too much longer, and we'll start to confirm who is into the 10-boat men's K1 final. That'll be live on Planet Canoe. 12 o'clock Central European time we start with the women's C1, and then we'll follow up about 12:40 straight afterwards with the men's K1 final. And well, you're always in for an exciting final in Prague, and yesterday we saw a great final going on in the men's C1. It was Matej Benos of Slovakia who produced a solid performance to come through there with the gold medal. And then in the women's K1, it was Australia's Jessica Fox who found some form, an outstanding run, a 101 in that women's kayak final to take the gold medal. But, and interestingly enough, in the World Cup overall, then in those, the men's C1 and the women's K1, 5 winners across the 5 different World Cup races.
And Mario's on a pretty solid run here, he's cutting those lines.
So Mario Leitner of Austria, yeah, he's in touch. 1.76 down. And well, he's a quick paddler, isn't he? He's been around a while. 13th at the Rio Olympic Games, silver at the Under-23 Worlds in 2017.
Yeah, junior world champion from 2014, so he knows how to go fast.
And he's certainly made World Cup finals before, and it's going to be close, but he's the wrong side of those tenths there, and only into 10th place for Mario Leitner of Austria. 97.45. It is a clean run, but it is still Slovenia's Peter Kauzer leading the way, 95.09. Japan's Kazuya Adachi holding on firm in second place and looking more comfortable to qualify. Michał Pasiot of Poland in third place. So on course now, it is Andrej Malek of Slovakia. Now Andrej won the second World Cup of the season. That was in Bratislava in Slovakia. He's a 2-time Under-23 World Championship bronze medalist, but he hasn't had the consistency that you would like. He had a 20th place in Lee Valley, won in the second race, and then 7th in the 3rd race in Tartzen.
Yeah, so on his day he can put down a real fast run.
And let's watch him here, but then the penalty's mounting up for a Slovakian paddler, and the Slovaks are also using this team as part of their ongoing selection process for the Olympic Games. And a big news story really there was that Martin Halsin didn't make it through into the semi-finals.
Yeah, that's crazy. So yeah, these races are just super high pressured for them, I guess.
And yeah, it is interesting because we've seen, I guess, both sides of it, haven't we? We've seen the teams who are selected within their Olympic selection process where the athletes are raising their game and performing above their expectations, but equally the pressure, as you suggest, Jack, can really be a hamper, put a damper on performance, and that extra pressure really forces mistakes.
Yeah, that's where you get the top in the world paddlers, that they can handle the pressure and they can lay it down at the right time.
So Andre Malek, winner of the second race of the season in this World Cup series, is only into 19th, and we won't see him in this afternoon's final. But here's a paddler who found his form last weekend after a disappointing start to the World Cup campaign. It is from Australia, Lucien Delfour, who, he was 34th, 39th, 34th, and then silver medalist last weekend. He finally found the groove. He's always fast, but he does take high risks on the course.
Yeah, that's right. Now he's in this new gala sport, omakase, and he seems to be loving it, so you can see what
He's always such a smooth paddler, but he really does cut the lines fine, and that's really why some of those results haven't gone his way early on in the season. But an early penalty, that won't help his cause. And we'll get an indication on the split. 1.65 down on Peter Kauzer of Slovenia. So if he can give us some Lucien Delfour magic, he could just manage to absorb that penalty and make it into the final. But he certainly can't afford any more mistakes.
Yeah, he just nailed that move in 16. So we'll see what the split's going to be.
Well, coming down through 17, 18, 19. Now into the upstream 21. He's got to find some time here, and he does indeed. He waves his neck at that. Looks like it's clean through there. Still just that one penalty on the downstream gate 8, and 2.35 though the deficit. And if he gets into like the 97 seconds, then it's the wrong side of a group of people, and that would be out of the final. Lucien Delfour paddling as hard as he can. 96.95.
Yeah, quite a quick raw time, but unfortunate penalty.
Yeah, so he's quicker. That's a good point there, Jack. He's quicker than the race leader, Peter Kauzer's time. But yeah, he's down in 8th place just because of that one penalty. Such is the time. 1.86 separates the top 8 paddlers. And so very little margins for error here in Prague in the Czech Republic. It's Andy Maddock here in the commentary box with you, and alongside me from the New Zealand team, Jack Dangan. And now coming into the upstream gate 3, Christopher Bowers of Great Britain.
Yeah, he made his first World Cup final this year in London on his home course. Super quick paddler, so he could well be in the final today.
Yeah, he was 4th at World Cup race 1, and that's his only World Cup of this season. 6th at the Under-23 Worlds.
He's up on the split.
Early on in the year, and just fighting it a little bit in the middle section. But like you say, Jack, he is up on the split, and he has kept it clean so far.
Yeah, he's one of those paddlers that goes for the tight lines as well.
Yeah, still to come 3 British boats in this semi-final. So he's the first, and then there'll be the Olympic champion Joe Clark and Bradley Forbes Cryans, who was, I think, 4th in the heats. So he'll be the last of the British boats down. But Chris Bowers now slightly down, but in touch and absolutely where he needs to be as he comes into 21.
Yeah, he had a super good result at the Euros last year in Prague, so he's pretty good on this course.
So down into the final upstream now. He's got to set up. He's got to get tight into the upstream 24. He does that. He has to work quite hard to do that. And Christopher Bowers of Great Britain now approaching the finish line, clean through the last gate. And 95.09 is the time to beat. He is not quite there, but into second place. And well, he sneaks in ahead of Kazuya Adachi of Japan, who drops down to third. So Peter Kauzer still leading. Great performance from Christopher Bowers of Great Britain. And Kazuya Adachi of Japan still very much in the mix. Early runner in this competition. Well, take a breath, because we've still got the top paddlers to go from the heats. Christopher Bowers does have an asterisk against his name, so just wait and see whether there's any penalties to be confirmed on there. But on course now, it is Nico Testen of Slovenia, who's a really exciting young paddler, both in the men's C1 and in the men's kayak event. He's had a pretty good season so far. A 9th, 29th, 21st, then a 12th last weekend in Markkleeberg. And so showing that he is absolutely capable of making it into finals.
Yeah, his style is effortless. He looks like he's not even trying, but then he gets down to the bottom and has a quick time.
Well, that's an update on the result there. Christopher Bowers of Great Britain given a 50-second penalty on the downstream gate 11. So that is a change in the leaderboard, and that puts him right down the order and out of the final. So well, big news there. I didn't see that, but Peter Kauzer still leading, and now Kazuya Adachi back in second place. Michał Pasiut in third place for Poland. Nico Testen picking up penalties as he comes down the course.
Yeah, he hasn't found the good lines today, but he'll just try to finish it off.
Slovenian men's kayak's always quick, and it's about taking the risks, calculated risks, and on this occasion then those two touches will keep him out of the final. It's going to be outside of 100 seconds, and not to be today. So 19th place there for Nico Testen. So as we get towards being able to tell you who is in the final, it is still Peter Kauzer leading for Slovenia, ahead of Kazuya Adachi of Japan, Michał Pasiut of Poland. There are top three.
Michael Smolin seems to have really good form in Prague, so he's one to watch out for.
Yeah, that's a good point for the Rio Olympian, 12th in the Rio Olympic Games. He's a medalist at World Championship level in 2015, and again, is really quick on his day, but doesn't quite have the consistency that he probably would have quite liked. So he's yet to make a World Cup final actually this season. 11th was the closest, and that was in Bratislava. And a penalty on gate 8 for Michał Smolin, and another one on 10.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for him to make the final today, unfortunately.
Well, that's yeah, as you say, Jack, a really difficult one to come back from there. So how important do you think getting a good race in ahead of the World Championships is, in terms of just taking confidence into the main event of the season?
Yeah, it's definitely helped with the confidence boost and that. And yeah, just use it as like a practice kind of race, a lot of these guys, and just fine-tuning for Worlds.
Well, Michał Smolin knows it's all gone a bit south here today because he's too tight in 21, and whilst he doesn't pick up any more penalties, he pays a bit more of a price on the clock, and it is not going to be for Michał Smolin of the United States. So, well, we're down to 13 boats to finish still, including Michał, so we'll soon be able to confirm who is in the finals. And Peter Kauzer, race leader for Slovenia for so long, it's had to wait, but looking more and more comfortable of a place in the final. So it is Smolin of the United States goes into 21st place and outside of a place in the final. So Martin Duguid of Switzerland on course. Best this year is 15th in Bratislava. That's the second race of the season, but he has made finals before. He made a final in Sao last year in the World Cup, so capable of doing it, but it is about going fast and clean now when it matters.
Yeah, really nice technique he has. Super light peddler.
He does. He's really looks like he's in harmony with the white water. 0.71 up on the split. So he's found time at the top, but we know you don't win the race at the top. It's in the middle and the bottom that you win it, and he's just pushing it a bit too hard. And a 2-second penalty on 11. Martin Duguid of Switzerland now coming into the upstream 16. Well, he's still on it, but he's just lost that flow that he had on the top section.
Yeah, he trains in Po, Martin.
So now into the upstream 21, rejected a bit on the hole. Couple of strokes low, that's probably another couple of seconds added to his time, and it's slipping away here. So we're getting towards the point where we can confirm our qualifiers, and well, at the moment it's looking good for the top three. Peter Kauzer of Slovenia, Kazuya Adachi of Japan, and Michal Pasiut of Poland. They're our top three at the moment, with 12 still to finish, and into 16th place and outside of the final for Martin Duguid of Switzerland. So next will be the Russian Federation, Pavel Igel, 29-year-old, who was 9th at the Olympic Games. He was bronze medalist at the World Championships last year in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. So very powerful, very explosive paddler. Be interesting to see how he gets on in this middle section. It's make or break time, and even this double upstream at the top isn't straightforward, is it? Just as I speak, he takes a touch.
Yeah, that first up, the eddy's flowing down a bit, so it's quite hard to hold the grip on the boat.
That's right. It almost, just as the line, the boat is almost slipping away into the trough of the wave that runs into 4. But well, he's quick. He's 2 seconds. He's absorbed that penalty on the upstream gate 3, but a little untidy and had to work hard. 12 to 13 there.
Yeah, we'll see if he's got enough energy to finish this run off.
The Russian Federation took a silver medal yesterday in the men's C1 event, with Kirill Setkin taking silver behind Matej Benus of Slovakia. So at the moment, the gold medals have gone to Slovakia in the men's C1, Australia in the women's K1, and we'll see who is crowned in this afternoon's finals. 12 o'clock Central European time, we have the women's C1, and then this men's K1 will follow on immediately around about 12:40 Central European time. So do join us there. And those viewers in Europe, it's not embargoed today because of a live broadcast, so you will be able to watch it live at 12 o'clock Central European time. Pavel Igel of the Russian Federation, though, 2 touches and only into 14th place. So not to be for Pavel Igel. So 30 boats now down. We have 10 boats still to go, and we will now start to confirm who our finalists are. Peter Kauzer of Slovenia, the world #1, is sitting at the top of the leaderboard. But here is a boat to watch. It is the winner of last week's race, Vit Prindis of the Czech Republic. And, well, he was the form boat a couple of years ago. Couldn't do anything wrong. Hasn't quite found the consistency until last weekend, where he just blitzed the field. The Czech crowd certainly eagerly anticipating this performance. And Vit, always quick, but always looks composed. He's not a big risk taker, and he has such a fluid style.
Yeah, very fluid style, and he's just nailed the top.
And he started his season well, European champion. That was in Po in France. And then, well, it took a while to get going, but yeah, he won last weekend. 4 different winners across the 4 races in this men's K1 field. Joe Clark, Andre Malek, Giovanni De Gennaro, he's still to come, and Vit Prindis last weekend. And Vit looking effortless, but looking like he is in charge as he comes down here. Still up on the split.
He's on a flyer at the moment. I think he's going to take the lead.
Well, it's all going to be down in this bottom section. 4 or 5 gates to go now for Vit Prindis, including this upstream gate. The setup's so important into 24, and he makes that look easy. Surely he is comfortably into the final. He may have to wait if he doesn't go straight into the race lead, but it's a great performance for Vit Prindis of the Czech Republic. A 94.38, and what a response from the Czech crowd. They like what they see. Well done, Vit. You are our first qualifier in the final, and sets up for, well, always good to have representation from the home country in the final. So 94.38, the new time to beat. That is from the Czech Republic's Vit Prindis. So next up, Stefan Hengst of Germany. He was 9th at the Under-23 Worlds in 2017, and this is second World Cup of the 2019 season. Had a big penalty in the first World Cup and finished 36th. So his opportunity, but he's lost a bit of time and taken a penalty in the upstream gate 3.
He just missed out on the German team this year. It was super tight racing for their selection. But yeah, this run's not going too well. Two penalties already.
Yeah, it's always difficult, isn't it? Getting that balance right. The kind of times that are required to make it through to the final. You can't really be cautious or conservative down the course, but you attack it too much, take too much risk, and well, as we've seen, 1 or 2 penalties is too much. Actually, at the moment, the first person in the ranking with a penalty is in 9th place. That's Lucien Delfort of Australia. So unlikely to make it through with a penalty. So Stefan Hengst, another penalty on the upstream 21 there, just appearing, and it looked like he really had found the groove again. He was still attacking the course, but another penalty. 6 seconds of penalties, and it's not going to be for the German paddler now.
He's pedaling one of those orbit boats made in Germany.
So into 21st place for Stefan Hengst of Germany, and that means that Peter Kauzer will join Vit Prindis in the final. So already then that is good news, I guess, from a World Cup perspective. Peter Kauzer lying 2nd in the World Cup standings, Vit Prindis lying 3rd in the World Cup standings overall. So everything will still be decided in that final. At the moment, Yuri Prskavec is the race leader of the overall World Cup standings. He's still to come in this semi-final. But on course now, it is Isaac Öhrström from Sweden, who was 15th in the 2016 Olympic Games. He has 2 World Cup finals to his name. But the best this year is 14th place. That was back in Bratislava, World Cup 2. So already a 2-second penalty on the upstream gate 4 for Isaac. So great to see a capacity crowd here in Prague in the Czech Republic. We're live with this men's K1 semi-final, and we will be live with the men's K1 final. That's at 12:40, but join us at 12 o'clock because we'll be live with the women's C1 final. So Isaac Öhrström looking smooth, but that penalty on the upstream gate 4 is going to be expensive, and he's got bigger time loss, 4.47 seconds, and well, we're talking about that being around about well, 15th to 20th place.
Nails the upstream in 21.
Well, that's right, yeah. So that's where the gymnastic skills of these athletes comes in, doesn't it? You tight like that, you've got to be able to just manoeuvre your head so that you give the judges no reason to add any penalties.
Yeah, millimetres away from the poles.
So Isaac Öhrström of Sweden into 19th place, and it's, well, the time's just slipped away, but it just shows how tight the racing is here. So that is good news for Japan, because Kazuya Adachi of Japan goes into the final, and well, great to see a Japanese finalist, I think the first in the men's kayak this year. So Vit Prindis leading ahead of Peter Kauzer and Kazuya Adachi as we look at the Olympic champion from Rio 2016. Joe Clark from Great Britain is on course. So he won the first World Cup of the season in Lee Valley, and then he was 6th in the 3rd World Cup of the season in Tarts in Slovenia. Those are the only 2 races he's done this season. in this World Cup series. And now let's see where he stacks up. 1.59 seconds up on Vitprindis. You're looking at the virtual race leader, but well, that advantage is gone. He has taken a touch on the downstream gate 12.
He's definitely one of the on-form paddlers at the moment, and I reckon he can absorb that touch.
Well, let's see, because a little bit having to work hard on 16, but you're right. If he can keep going down the course, keep finding the time, then he might just be able to do something to squeeze into the final. And he 0.18 now. He has absorbed a lot of that penalty, and surely he's found a bit of time on 21. This is really exciting for the Olympic champion. Is fighting for his life and a place in the final.
He nails this move here in 24, so I think it's going to be a super fast raw time.
Joe Clark of Great Britain paddling for a place in the final here in Prague. He has a 2-second penalty, but it's a quick time, and he takes the race lead. He has stamped his authority on this field. Wow, 93.30. It does include a 2-second penalty. Wow, well done, Joseph Clark. I have to say there is an asterisk against his name, so that is still a provisional result, but provisionally into the final, along with Vitprindis, Peter Kauzer and Kazuya Adachi of Japan. But look at that, 91.30 seconds is the time. Well, that's the fastest raw time, and exciting stuff here as Boris Neveu of France has to, well, compete with a balloon. Bit of a distraction, that, isn't it, for him, for the world champion in 2014. Particularly, it's not just in one place, but it's in multiple places. That's really unfortunate for him in this competition. So Boris Neveu, the third French person in this semi-final.
He's down by a second.
And I have to confirm, Joe Clark for Great Britain has had the asterisk removed. He is our race leader with that outstanding time. He does have a 2-second penalty, but 93.30 is the time to beat. And well, that is good enough for the race lead at the moment. Boris Neveu of France, world champion 2014. He was fourth at the World Championships last year in Rio de Janeiro. He's got a European Championship title, hugely experienced paddler, and as part of this Olympic selection he'll have that, make sure that he has got that in mind, to make sure he uses the opportunity of his other two French paddlers not finding their form in this race to capitalise on the point standings. So
very solid run, and I think it could be a final.
Well, it could be the race lead here, because he has built into this run despite the balloon distraction at the top, and he does 100th of a second is into the race lead. Boris Neveu of France takes the race lead, and importantly into the final. So things really tightening up. 5 boats still to go. They're the fastest 5 boats from the heats on Friday. Boris Neveu of France leading, ahead of Joe Clark of Great Britain, Vitprindis of the Czech Republic, and well, here's another winner from the World Cup season, the winner of World Cup 3 in Tarsen, Slovenia. It is Giovanni De Gennaro of Italy, always there or thereabouts, really consistent paddler, and he was 8th last weekend in Markkleeberg in Germany, and you know he's just going to fight it out. He always puts himself right on the margins in order to chase those wins.
Yeah, when Giovanni gets to the final, he seems to just get the gold medal, so let's see what he...
Well, let's watch him. He's up on the split, only by 0.18, but importantly, it is about, at this stage, getting into the final. Very nice on 13.
And now it's 13. Let's see what the split says.
Very powerful paddler. And coached by Daniele Momenti, the Olympic champion from 2012, the world champion from 2010. So now, well, he's outside of the race lead time, but he's absolutely where he needs to be for a place in this 10-boat men's kayak final here in Prague in the Czech Republic. Giovanni De Gennaro has done absolutely what he has needed to do. He's clean as he comes into the last 2 gates.
He's laying it down here.
And we know he's in touch with the race lead, so he could still take the race lead here, but that won't be on his mind really. It'll just be making sure he qualifies through, which he does. But look at that, 92.01. And well, we know Joe Clark has done 91.30. There's a few quick times here showing up, and well, I'm getting really excited about the final still to come. So Giovanni De Gennaro of Italy takes the race lead and is into the final. And also the finalists, Boris Nouveau of France, Joe Clark of Great Britain, Vit Prindis of the Czech Republic, Peter Kauzer of Slovenia, and Kazuya Adachi of Japan, with 4 boats still to go. And Bradley Forbes Cryans of Great Britain is on course, the Flying Scotsman. Now coming into the upstream, gate 3 and 4. Not an easy sequence here.
Super good start to Bradley's run here.
So Bradley is a silver medalist from the 2018 Under-23 World Championships. And well, he's up on the split, but he's having to do a plan B. It's a pretty good plan B.
Yeah, worked out for him, the back off.
Oh, great reactivity, isn't it? And that's the art of paddling at the elite level. It's very rare that you have the ultimate run that goes totally to plan, and it's about quick decision making, reacting to the circumstances, and Bradley has done that, kept himself on track. We'll see how much time that lost him as he comes through gate 18 to 19. This is where the split comes in, and he's still up. 0.43 the advantage for Bradley Forbes Cryans of Great Britain. It's great that the Czech crowd are supporting every paddler down this course.
And just nails the 21 move, so
3 more gates now between him and a place in the final. Bradley is in and out nicely on 24. Surely this is good enough for the final. Where is it going to fit in the reckoning? Actually in that, but a 50-second penalty on 14 appears for Bradley Forbes Cryans. So interesting there, 31st place. It's a great time for Bradley, 92.45. But well, gate 14. Didn't really see that close enough, but that is drama, and Michal Pasier is the benefactor of Bradley's misfortune, who qualifies now into the final. So Darius Popiela now sitting waiting to see if he's done enough. He's next to see, but here he's got to go. He's got to beat Yuri Prskavec, the world champion of 2015, the Olympic bronze medalist of 2016, the home favourite surely on this course, and very much, well, expected to be in the final.
he's definitely won a few medals at the Prague World Cups over the years.
I think he's won a European title here in Prague, and he's definitely won probably one of his first senior races here. First made his name a while ago at a World Cup here in Prague, and he is up on the split, 0.32, but that's all that matters for him is making it through into the final at this stage. He is the World Cup leader after 4 races, and well, the crowd really going for it now. And well, he'll be no stranger to that expectation. And look at that, nearly 2 seconds now up on the split. And well, the crowd respond to that news as well. It gets even louder.
Making it look super easy.
Well, Yuri Prskavec of the Czech Republic. Well, a little bit had to work hard to get the line on 24, but is surely paddling into the race lead here and into this men's K1 final. In fact, look, he's slowing down. He knows he's done enough. 92.04. He has qualified through and goes into second place. Bit of gamesmanship there at the bottom there. We like to see that.
Yeah, just cruising at the finish, confident.
So, 2 boats still to go. Giovanni De Gennaro leading for Italy, 92.01. We know Yuri Prskavec of the Czech Republic. Well, he's in the final, but we know there's a bit more left in the tank for the final. We've got the Olympic champion. We've got the Peter Kauzer, the world #1 in the final. So really shaping up to be a good one. But on course now, the world champion from 2013, the Olympic silver medalist from 2012 is on course. It's Vavra Radilek of the Czech Republic. So more expectation from the home crowd here. You can see how the supporters, they're so close to the action here, and that's what really creates the atmosphere.
Yeah, Callum Gilbert sitting in 10th.
That's a good point for New Zealand, so it's a good result, whatever. But yeah, it'll be a tense few minutes wait as Barbara Radlek, you know, we could say, so he's taken a few years out of the top level of the sport. He's coming back, and he started in the last couple of races to rediscover that form that made him world champion in 2013. So in and out of the upstream, he'll be racing in as well in the Extreme Slalom World Championships later on, which I believe you're racing in as well. You were 7th seed, is that right, from the seeding competition?
Yeah, that's right, and I've got a heat with him to start off.
That should be exciting. Well, we'll tell you a bit more about that in due course, but in and out of the upstream 21, he's 2.75 down on the race lead split, but that is still good enough. If he can hold that, it's still good enough for a place in the final. So Barbara Radlek, great on 24, good stroke timing, gets in and out. Now the time to beat is 96.32, Darius Popiela, and it's going to be close, and it sneaks just inside that. Well done, Barbara Radlek. We have 3 Czech boats in this 10-boat final, and well, it means that Darius Popiela is still going to have to wait and see if he's done enough, and unfortunately for Callum Gilbert, now drops down into 11th place for New Zealand. So still a really strong result, but it's not going to be a place in the final. So one more boat to go in this men's kayak semi-final. Jakub Griga of Slovakia is on course. Well, he is a form boat. He was the winner of the 2019 Under-23 European Championships. He's a 2-time world champion at the Under-23 Worlds, and he was 5th in the Rio Olympic Games. So still a young competitor, and well, very calm and composed as he attacks the course. This part of the Slovak team selection, and hasn't had things all his way. In Bratislava, he actually missed out on qualifying into the semi-finals. So that was a big disappointment on his home course, and he does have a penalty now.
Yeah, he's going to have to send the bottom of the course here to try to get a place into the final.
Well, interesting, there is only one person in the top 13 boats who has a penalty. Everybody else is clean. That's Joe Clark, the Olympic champion. He has qualified through with a penalty. And such is the proximity, the tightness of racing, that it's very hard to qualify in with a 2-second penalty. But that said, Jakub Griga, 2.91, he might manage to do it, because he is on a quick time as he comes into the last upstream gate. Well, a lot of noise from the supporters as Jakub Griga now comes towards the finish. He's got to beat 96.33. It's going to be tight. Oh, and he's just outside 96.50, and it is. Well, that's good news for Darius Popiela of Poland, who gets through in 10th place, just on the back end of that. He had a long wait to get that, but provisionally the men's kayak finalists for this afternoon's final, that's 12:40 Central European time, will be live on Planet Canoe. It is Giovanni De Gennaro who will go off last in that final, because he is the fastest qualifier, and he'll be joined by Yuri Prskavec, Boris Nouveau, Joseph Clark, Vit Prindis, Peter Kauzer, Kazuya Adachi, then Vavra Radlek, Mikhail Pasiut and Darius Popiela. Those are our 10 finalists. And well, your reflections, Jack, on that semi-final, hugely tight racing. What's the standout for you?
Yeah, just Yuri, he's just insane on this course and makes it look super easy. But yeah, real tight racing. The last 4 boats, really quite tight there.
Wow, and look at that. In the top 12, there is only one person who has a penalty. That's Joe Clark, the Olympic champion, who set the fastest raw time of this semi-final, 91.30. That'll be the time that people will be looking at as they prepare now. But they haven't got long to prepare between runs before that final. So we'll be live with the women's C1 final, and that is in just over half an hour's time at 12 o'clock Central European time. And that is not embargoed for European viewers, so do join us because it will be live on Planet Canoe, and then followed instantly by the K1 men's final, and that's around about 12:40 Central European time, so not long between runs. But here is the confirmation of the result. Giovanni De Gennaro takes the win. He goes off last in the final. But look at that lineup. We've got Prskavec, well, 3 Czechs, we've got 2 Polish paddlers, we've got the Olympic champion, we've got the world #1, and well, just that is going to be an exciting final. Some of the people to miss out, well done, Callum Gilbert of New Zealand, 11th place, another strong result there. And some young boats coming through. Lucien Delfour missing out on this occasion, a silver medalist from last weekend in World Cup 4 in Magdeburg in Germany. And well, some of the French team, Mathurin Madora, look at that. He's 6 seconds of penalties, but he set 92.99 time. And well, the 2 British boats fast enough for the final, but both given penalties. So don't forget to join us in just over half an hour's time for the Women's C1 final. Then we'll be live with the Men's K1 final. And of course, we've got the Extreme Canoe Slalom World Championships this afternoon. That is at 4:30 this afternoon. But from myself, Andy Maddock, and Jack Danjan, it's goodbye for now. We'll see you with the Women's C1 final.